Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight to the Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we're back for episode 23 of the Patriots Connected franchise, and it's off-season time. We are in the 2015 off-season, and we're getting things started by looking to re-sign some of our players. You can see not a lot of guys are interested, but one guy that is Sean Lee. He's one of the few guys that we didn't get a chance to negotiate with during the regular season. A lot of the guys that we did get a chance to negotiate with ended up declining our offers. So, another guy I want to get back is Jaquan Williams. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he was a pretty good depth option for us last season, so I liked having him on the team. But both him and Sean Lee reject, so we have re-signed no one heading into the free agent period of the 2014 NFL offseason. Catch you up on a couple NFL headlines. You can see that Jason Witten has retired, as well as Drew Brees and Charles Woodson. So, a couple big names retiring at the end of the 2014-15 NFL season. It's going to leave some holes for those teams. I was surprised to see Charles Woodson on the Lions. Looks like he ended up bouncing around a little bit, but nonetheless. You're also going to see a couple guys get franchise tagged at the end of these headlines, as well as London Fletcher announcing that he is coming back for another season. So another couple of retirements, Antonio Gates and Nnamdi Asomugha, and you're going to see Sean Green ends up getting cut. Larry English also gets cut. Von Miller gets franchise tagged. You're going to see Gerald McCoy is going to end up getting franchise tagged. That's pretty big because he is one of the top defensive tackles in the league, and that is a hole for us heading into the next season. Julio Jones gets franchise tagged. This ended up being a really good market for receivers. Having Julio Jones out there would have made it even better. Randall Cobb gets tagged. Mike Iupati, I believe. Brian Cushing. Ed Reed retires, and Sean Lee looks like he is not coming back, but he is an available free agent, so I decided to negotiate with him once again because I really want to get Sean Lee back. I'm going to be switching to a base 3-4 for my scheme heading into the 2015 season. That's because I want to target Sean Lee as well as Wolverine Justice out of the draft. And we're going to offer Julius Thomas a 5-year, and I think I ended up giving him $40 million total, maybe $37.5. I think I go $40 million total with my original offer to him. The Patriots playbook obviously is, it's $37.5. It's revolved around tight ends, a lot of 2 tight end sets, a lot of stuff like that. And we had a pretty weak tight end group last season, so I want to improve that. I want to strengthen that up. We're also going to go after Terrence Knighton as a potential Vince Wilfork replacement. I'm offering him 2 years and $8 million with $2 million guaranteed. Marcus Cannon, I'm going to offer a very similar contract to, a little bit more. He's only 27, he's an 85 overall, and he was a Pro Bowl last year, so I give him 4 years, $16 million, with only 4 of that being guaranteed. So we're going to advance a week into the offseason, and you're going to see how things are going for our negotiations right now. Those are the only 4 guys I offered contracts to. Looks like we have a strong chance of getting Sean Lee and Terrence Knighton, Thomas, and Marcus Cannon. We're going to have to compete a little bit more for, but I'm going to end up increasing my offer to Julius Thomas because at this point I decided I really wanted to get him. I upped the year by 1, and I'm also going to give him $48 million. So it's a very similar contract to what I gave Eric Decker last year. And you can see we're also going to go after AJ Jefferson. I like running a lot of nickel and dime packages, and we grew pretty thin at cornerback at the end of the year just due to some injuries and stuff like that. So I think AJ Jefferson could be a good nickel corner for us. Sean Lee and Terrence Knighton end up taking our contract, so that's good. As for the rest of the negotiations, you can see we're in battles with the other 3. I'm also going to go after Chris Neal, a backup defensive tackle on a cheap contract who fits our base 3-4 scheme. I'm also going to go after Brian Hoyer. I'm going to give him no guaranteed money, but he would make for a serviceable backup quarterback. Just a bit more depth at the quarterback position. I'm not looking to make any major upgrades because Cam Newton was not available, and the other highest quarterback was only Andy Dalton. But I'm also going to go after Alex Boone. We have some big holes at right guard and left guard. Logan Mankins is our starting left guard. He's only a 76 overall, and I don't think we have any right guards on the roster anymore. So I gave Alex Boone a low contract. I thought he was asking for way too much for an 82 overall at the age of 28, so I gave him a pretty low contract offer. I'm going to do the same to Shane Vereen, a guy that I would like to have back, but I'm not willing to pay too much for. There are other third down backs we can look for on the market for much cheaper options, and I don't need Shane Vereen's running capabilities because I have pretty good running backs with Garrett Blunt and Hakeem Okonkwo. So we end up getting Julius Thomas on a 6-year, $48 million contract. Andy Dalton goes to Dallas. Torrey Smith to Jacksonville. You can see Jacksonville becomes a big player. They also get Rashad Jones to a 6-year, $60 million contract. Looks like Kareem Jackson's headed to San Diego, and Mike Mitchell going to the Steelers on a very similar contract to the one he got in real life from the Steelers, 5 years, and in this one he got $23.8 million. In real life, I believe he got $25 million. And you can see a couple draft stories as well. Asante Samuel goes to the Cowboys. Looks like Tavares Jackson's heading to the Panthers as a backup. They did re-sign Cam Newton to a long-term contract And you saw we got Marcus Cannon back there on a 4-year deal, so that's good to see. Jimmy Smith ends up going to the Lions. I couldn't remember who that was at first. I needed help from the stream. But nonetheless, Charles Tillman to New Orleans. London Fletcher on his comeback is headed to Cleveland. Interesting fit there. Roddy White to New Orleans. That was a bit surprising. And you can see some other moves as well. Justin Houston on a big contract to Dallas. That's a huge signing. We end up getting A.J. Jefferson with a 1-year, $1 million contract offer. Jaquiz Rogers to Miami. He'll be in the division now, so that'll be interesting to see. Chris Culliver going to Jacksonville. Heath Miller goes to Houston. Cecil Shorts finds a 5-year contract in Baltimore, and Vince Wilfork with a 1-year, $8.2 million offer signs with Cleveland. So take a look at our draft picks heading into this year's draft. We have the 32nd pick in the first round, and I'm going to be immediately looking to trade up because I do want to draft Wolverine Justice, and we'll get into that in a moment. But here are a couple headlines going into the draft. Garrett McCaden, a guy that we haven't heard a lot from this year, seems to be the projected, I don't know, top 5, top 10 pick, probably one of the first quarterbacks off the board. But we are ready to start the draft. You see the Texans have the number 1 overall pick. So first things first, I do want to see where Wolverine Justice is projected to go. He's projected to be the first pick in the second round, but just based on what you guys have been telling me about him in the comments and how I've scouted them so far and what I've seen out of him with the storylines and stuff, I decided I didn't want to wait that long. I didn't want to risk it, so I'm going to end up trading up in the draft. I give up my first round pick. I'm going to give up, I believe, I actually don't do this year's third. I do a future third and this year's fifth, I believe. Yeah, and that ends up being accepted by the Eagles. So we get the 16th pick in the first round, and with that pick, I'm going to be taking my man, Wolverine Justice. Him and Sean Lee will be heading the middle of our defense in our new 3-4 set. So that should be that should anchor a really strong defense. Really both sides of the ball, running and passing. But here was a big slip up I had with my third round pick. I end up I didn't know you could pause the draft. I completely forgot about that, and I ended up taking way too long to make a pick. So it ends up skipping my third round pick and giving it to Miami. So I really screwed that up. I basically lost my third round pick, which I guess you can laugh at me all you want for that. But in the fourth round, we take Nolan Roby, I believe. And I know I don't have a lot of these guys scouted. I didn't do a lot of scouting. I did a lot of basic scouting, and I was using just the tips that you guys gave me throughout the year on certain guys and stuff like that, and things that I'd heard just like on Operation Sports about certain guys in this draft class. So as we got to the late rounds, I ended up not knowing a lot about these guys, but I only had 3 late round big picks. I took 2 ends that I can hopefully turn into pass rushers, and then I'm going to take a depth defensive tackle here. He's 6'4" and 343 pounds. That's pretty much the only reason I drafted him. At the very minimum, he can be a space eater, and he'll be our 3rd defensive tackle on the team this year. So here are the 4 rookies that we end up drafting: Wolverine Justice, Nolan Roby, Ulysses Booth, and Rodney Sibbert. You can make fun of me for my drafting all you want. It's whatever. I know I really did not do that so well, but nonetheless, take a look at the trade block as we are into the preseason. That pretty much wraps up the offseason, but I do have one more trade I'm going to be making. But first off, I just want to show you guys who have the biggest cap hits on the team heading into this year. We still have a lot of cap room, I believe. So we end up signing a couple guys to some depth options here. Danny Woodhead will be our new 3rd down back. And you can see I'm just going to end up getting some backups, like a backup offensive lineman. I'm going to sign Jim Dre to be my fullback. He's a former tight end. He's like 6'5", so good size at that position. I like that. A lot of people in the stream wanted me to go after Tim Tebow to be my fullback. So I don't know. I might I might try that out. No promises yet, but nonetheless, you can see I'm going to end up signing Bill Nagy. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Someone in the stream suggested him to me. He said he played pretty well for him. We also end up signing Malcolm Smith, the former Super Bowl MVP, as a depth linebacking option. We have a pretty good linebacker core heading into this year, which I'm really excited about. And for our kicker, we ended up not re-signing Steven Gostowski, so I'm going to sign the rookie Blair Redden. He had about 86 kick power. I think the highest on the free agent market was 88. But here's the trade I'm going to make. We're going to be trading a 3rd round pick in the 2017 NFL draft for John Asamoah, mainly because Asamoah is a hole that we need. We don't have a right guard. We don't have a starting caliber right guard. And I also signed Jordy Nelson. Another guy the stream wanted me to sign was Jordy Nelson. It seems like he was the highest overall free agent. He was like a 91 overall, and he somehow fell through. And then I'm not getting signed, so I signed him to a 1-year contract. I'm not sure where he's going to fit in. I've thought about running 2 tight end sets with Julius Thomas and Shady Monroe at tight end, since Monroe's build kind of fits more of the tight end profile, being 6'8", and just his size and all that stuff. And we run so much 2 tight end stuff that maybe that would work out. But other than that, that's pretty much going to do it for the offseason. I also, there's a couple more signings I might make throughout the preseason. You'll see those in the next episode. I don't think I'm going to be playing any of the preseason games, so the next episode will probably just be week 1 of the regular season. But other than that, that's pretty much going to do it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy the offseason. Let me know what you think of some of the moves I made, and those I'm out. Peace.